What's up, guys? This is Ray. All right, Ray and I are going flying. He's one of the advanced students. Say hey, Ray.
Hey, guys.
All right, you guys, we're going for circuits. We're standing around in the ops room. Okay? And Ray and I will be doing a video series. Right?
Yes, sir.
So, we're going to shoot this one. We're going to shoot the touch and goes and then come on back down. And we're going to shoot the debriefing.
Yes.
Okay?
That's correct.
And Ray, you want to tell them your Instagram?
Sure. My Instagram is It's Find the Buck, and we'll tag that in the video.
Yeah, absolutely. We're going to tag it on one in the video. All right, guys, so stay tuned for this one. Here are your keys, sir. Hold on. Yeah. Okay, so me as a general rule, I do not lock the doors. Now, there's a reason for me not locking the doors, and it's the following. In case there's a fire, for your evacuation. And remember, you're strapped into the aircraft anyways. You're not going anywhere.
Right.
So even if the door opens mid-flight, and we're not pressurized, we're not pressurized. What is up, you guys, and welcome to the next installment of the video series. And like you guys heard in the beginning of it, it'll be the first installment of the student series. Now, we join the action here as we're trying to get startup clearance from the ground controller, but unfortunately, it appears that the building is in the way and they can't hear us. So in just a second, we're just going to shut her down and then get the aircraft moved to the other side where we call them. Now, this is a thing that we actually face all the time. There is because there is a lot of traffic, and air traffic control is really they're overwhelmed in the sense that they work a lot, and that there aren't enough of them in that effect. And so when we're conducting training flights, we just are, trying to get a startup, and it's a bit of a thing because it kind of affects the way the students take it. And when you don't have a lot of experience and you're starting out, you expect that, okay, right, we have a flight plan, and sure, you don't hear anybody on the tower frequency, and because it's difficult for new students to see the geometry at the same time. And I understand them, because when I used to be a student, I was always disappointed when we couldn't actually go flying. And but Ray here, he was admirable, because they gave us a 20-minute delay, and he stuck right with it, and he stayed positive, and that's one of the things about Ray. He's a positive dude. So finally here we get clearance to start, and we get the show on the road. And somebody in the comments on the Facebook group, which is also Fly with Taz, told me to actually cut the failed start because lay people don't realize that it is a normal thing, that you start and sometimes it doesn't always start because of the heat or fuel or this or that, and honestly, I think it takes away from the how genuine it is, and it is, you start and that's it. Sometimes you do one attempt and then you do the second attempt and that's it. I mean, it even happens on jets. Okay, not every day, but it does. Jets who don't have FADEC at this stage. So, and here we taxi out to the taxiway, which is taxiway Mike, and you clear left, you clear right, that's the standard. We taxi back out to hold short, and we do our engine run-ups, and which are very important, and to do the pre-takeoff checklist to make sure that you have a healthy bird and that everything is okay. And again, it's not that there's anything wrong with maintenance. On the contrary, it's, you're confirming that everything's working and everything's correct, and just, before you go, so that you know what kind of an aircraft you have at the time. So we're just entering the runway now, and we do a final check and an upwind check to make sure that there's nobody coming in to land on top of us, with or without a clearance or whatever it is, just to prevent a runway incursion. And you see me directing Ray here to the absolute beginning of the runway to line us up on the piano keys. I like to call them the piano keys. I'm sure a lot of other people do. It's not a trademark of mine. And this is so that we get the maximum takeoff distance, and to take off as gentle as you please. And here you go, and Ray here, he does a great job of keeping the aircraft on the center line. And you have to keep in mind that he hadn't flown this aircraft in more than a month, because the training had been disrupted because of the situation in Lebanon. And the Tecnam P2010 is very sensitive to the rudder, and you always need to keep the aircraft well coordinated, especially during the takeoff roll and during the climb, because it's at that stage where there is the most P factor, or torque, which forces the aircraft to turn left. It's called left turning tendency. It's something that we teach. So here's a view when we're downwind, and you're looking at all of the glory of the airport at the end of summer, and there's the golf club, and right next to it, and behind it is, well, you guessed it, and not very aesthetic, but I like to take shots of it whenever I can, because it's always growing and changing. And right, so here we're on late downwind, and Ray wants to turn in early, and this is also part of what we teach at the time. It's when to actually turn for your base leg, and you get to enjoy an absolutely beautiful view of the western coast of Beirut right there, and that's the Kempinski on the nose, and the Sports City right behind it. So here we are, we've turned base, and the timing is slightly long at this stage, and this was because air traffic control had somebody taking off, and they wanted us to give them a little bit of space as we turned in. And I actually like to do this because it allows the student more time to get stabilized and get on speed and on slope. And so we're gonna overshoot a little bit here, because there's a certain amount of crosswind, and it's coming from the west, it's coming from the sea. So we overshoot a little bit, and to Ray's credit, he picks up on it, and starts to correct. And that's another good thing. That's another thing that you look for in a pilot or a student pilot, is to actually realize their mistake, no matter how small or big, and go on ahead and correct it. And at this stage, because the throttle setting was a little low, there wasn't enough power there, we are a little low on the glide slope. So I tell him, set in a little bit of power, hold the nose slightly so that the speed is correct, and then intercept the glide slope from beneath. And for those of you who are wondering what the glide slope is, it is an imaginary line that points down to the touchdown zone on a runway, which gives you a steady approach with correct amount of speed for you to use for this runway. Now, and obviously enough obstacle avoidance within the glide path. And obviously, this being a light GA aircraft, general aviation aircraft, I mean, there's plenty of runway. It is most relevant to heavier jets that come in with larger loads and more speed. But Beirut's great for this because, I mean, we have huge runways. I mean, we've got 3 official runways, but it was built with 5. 2 of the taxiways used to be runways, and they're 10,000 meters plus. So here we come in again, and Ray's doing a better job of keeping her steady and on speed, on slope, on direction, and you can tell at this point his headset had started to malfunction, and it was really distracting him. So, and he really, I mean, you'll see it in the debrief. It really adds to the level of difficulty. At which point I decide to actually take over the radio and allow him to just fly, because it is unfair. The distraction is very, very large. So, I take over the radio, and automatically he starts doing a better job. He's now ahead of the aircraft, which is an expression that we use, where his situational awareness allows him to know where he is in the circuit and to actually fly accordingly and to plan ahead and make the necessary power setting changes, make the necessary attitude changes, make the necessary rudder corrections to keep the aircraft where it actually needs to be. And I mean, he gets a little eager here. We're above it, us, baby. And he tries to turn in a little early, and I'm like, no, wait. It's a rectangular pattern, which is what we fly in the circuit. Around the airport, it's called the circuit. So we fly an exactly rectangular pattern because this allows us to become lined up and again intercept the famed glide slope. So at this point I realize, I have the radio, he's doing a great job, we're nice and lined up, he's got a good crab angle in, into the crosswind to keep the aircraft right on the center line. And I'm like, okay, you know what? He's good. I'm going to add a small level of difficulty here because he has a little bit of hours, and I need to see him recover from actual adversity. And you pull the throttle, and simulating an engine failure here, and I call for 75 knots, which is the best glide speed for this aircraft, which allows it to trade its energy for distance. All right, so some people say speed for altitude, and I had this conversation with some fighter pilots a few years ago when the question arose for the first time for me, and they said, and the question was, which is more important, speed or altitude? And they said neither. Energy is what is important, and I realized that completely. So potential energy. So the aircraft is slowly bleeding the altitude at the best possible ratio to actually make it onto the longest distance to land, and that's the best glide speed gives you this. And you'll see here, I basically you cut the engine and you get on the speed, and Ray does it like a champ. We're on slope here. I like this glide slope where it is. This is what it looks like from a jet, and he's correcting for the crosswind, which has picked up by now, and he lands with the upwind landing gear first, which means that it is the landing gear that is on the side of the wind. Okay, sure, we're like 6 feet left of the center line, but that's okay. This is a tiny little aircraft, and the center line is actually thicker than the aircraft. But yeah, and he does a great job bringing the aircraft in with his headset malfunction and with everything that comes with it. And at this stage, I decide to, okay, you know what? That's enough messing about with the kid. Let him do his thing, and he does not disappoint me at this stage in any way, shape, or form. He performs the progress that he did during this flight from coming from 1 month away from the cockpit and with a crosswind on a new aircraft that he hadn't flown before, or that he had flown very little before. There he is. There's Ray. Cool kid too. So look at him. Cool as a cucumber, looking all pro. That's actually that's a huge sign. Because I keep telling my students and to anybody who will listen that flying is attitude, both on the ground and in the air. And when you meet somebody and they've got the right attitude, more often than not, they will be better pilots as a general rule. You know, they're more meticulous and they're cooler, and they have a better grasp on things. And you can see it right here, because as soon as he settled into his groove, I mean, I didn't even feel the need to like show the rest of the video except like for the short final, because he was, you know, right there. He made his base turn correctly, correct altitude, correct speed setting, correct glide slope, everything. You know, we came in, we had everything working to our advantage. I didn't touch the aircraft at all. This was all right here. Yeah, and you'll see we will like right there, like, you know, just past the threshold, just past the middle of the touchdown zone markers. And, you know, I just, you know, love congratulating them when they do a great job. And that was it, you know. I was over the moon. And this will basically end the flight portion of this flight, of this video, sorry. And you know, we'll be moving on to the debrief, and I hope, like, you know, that somebody's learned something from this video. Like, it has given people like a little bit more insight as to what kind of pilots training is going on. So enjoy, and don't forget to subscribe. It's Fly with Tad. Till next time.
Was because you hadn't flown in more than a month and the aircraft is fairly new. You had one problem, and you were behind the aircraft by a couple of seconds, and you were making the effort to actually get ahead of it. I could see you processing the data. Hey, I could see you trying to catch up. I could see it. Understood? And then add to it the fact that your headset was malfunctioning. So, the muffy.
It's a workout.
It's a workout. I mean, had the headset work come in, okay, that would have alleviated the task, and you would have gotten ahead of the aircraft. This I know for a fact. Why? I don't know. On the last circuit, I had the radio and you were flying, and look at what happened. Okay. Next time, bring your dad's headset.
Yeah.
No, I'm serious. Next time, bring your dad's headset. Oh no, I need to use your headset. I'm in line. I don't know what the hell's wrong with it. Okay, I know it will change everything. The input out of the end is more important than most people think. And now we learn and we get sensory input from two primary sources: our eyesight and our hearing. If your hearing is being disrupted, it actually modifies the way you think. It actually modifies the way you process the information. Okay? And it adds a level of discomfort. And I mean,
To a great degree.
Look what happened. You know, finally, when you were rid of the whole headset, you were no longer worried about what the tower was saying because I had the radio. Look what you did. Okay, and you've done 3 landings by then. Okay, you've begun to get the hang of how the aircraft turns again, etc. You've managed to land, and you know what? Jumping from that first approach to that third approach, and that progress within one session, that's fucking amazing. Really. Okay, I'm very happy you stayed with it. I'm very happy you stayed in it. I'm very happy you didn't, like, you know, allow, you know, the adversity to, like, overcome you in this case. And dude, the next time will be crazy.